I want to thank everyone for supporting the channel from all over. My first 3 episodes were about hoods in LA, but this time I'm gonna go about 2 hours south to San Diego. I've been getting into some of the blood sets and crip sets that are in San Diego, their allies, and their rivalries with other gangs and incidents that have occurred. The first gang that would be detailed would be the Lincoln Park Bloods. They were started in the 1970s. They had many name changes in the 70s, but by the 1980s, the Lincoln Park Blood name will stick. They're located on the southeast side of San Diego. With them being Bloods, they wear red of course, but they also wear green. The Lincoln Park Bloods are allies of the 59brims, a set that was originally started in LA, and also the Emerald Hills Bloods, another blood set in San Diego. The Lincoln Park Bloods beef with Crips sets like Rollin' 40 Crips, who also originated from LA, and the West Coast Crips, who also have ties to the East Coast Crips in LA. They also have blood rivals like Ofarrell Park and the Skyline Pirus, who they were once cool with. The Lincoln Park Bloods are known for rappers like Mitchie Slick and being the area famous actor Nick Cannon's father was from, and also where he was raised. But they're also known for being very active in the streets, so that leads me to a few cases I'm gonna get into. On December 5th, 2006, Ahmaud Lewis, a member of the Lincoln Park Bloods, will lose his life. 2 members of Lincoln Park, Deshaun Bornax and Anthony Torian, drove to Skyline Piru turf. They will stop at a liquor store and Anthony will go in for a purchase. When he walked out, he seen Deshaun walking toward a cul-de-sac and heard 8 shots. Anthony will get out and drove to the driver's seat. Once Deshaun came back, he would drive away. Deshaun will tell Anthony he approached 2 dudes and shot them. Anthony will tell his girlfriend Kimberly to be his alibi. He will tell her to tell everyone that they went to the movies that night. December 19th, Kimberly will be approached by the police. She repeated the alibi Anthony told her. December 20th, Deshaun Bornax would knock at Kimberly's door. She opened and seen him at the door and 2 men by her car. He will tell her, "Remember what we told you to say. Stick to the story. We know where you live." She would later testify and get a police her true account, and she would be put into witness protection. Anthony would agree to testify against Deshaun for a shorter sentence, and he told everything. I mean everything. He would be beaten, jailed, and threatened, but that didn't stop him from snitching. He would get on the stand and put everything on Deshaun. He received 13 years for his cooperation with the police. Unlike him, Deshaun Bornax didn't say anything, and he received 2 life terms, plus 57 years to life. The next case happened on April 27, 2013. Marquise Anderson and his family celebrated his 17th birthday. Marquise's brothers were members of the West Coast Crips, and many members of the set was at the party. Justin Anderson, no relation, and his brother and 2 other members of Lincoln Park Bloods passed by Marquise's party at 9:52. They noticed all the people and gang members, and he would call many fellow Lincoln Park members to locate weapons. Justin Anderson would call over 6 fellow members of Lincoln Park Bloods to locate weapons, but he didn't know his phone was being tapped by the police. 2 people would be shot that night. With his phone being tapped, police had a case, and he would be arrested. He would be charged with 1 count to commit murder in the 1st degree and an assault with a deadly weapon, and he would be sentenced to 25 to life. Later on, Justin Anderson will be acquitted of all charges. The police couldn't actually prove that he had done anything, so he walked free. Now I'm going to get into their allies, the 59brims. This set originated from South Central, but they have been around for many decades, dating back to the 70s. Them and the Lincoln Park Bloods share most of the same rivals. August 13th, 2004. Charles Foster, a member of the Skyline Pirus, rival of the Lincoln Parks, walked to a gas station in his area where he noticed a white expedition drive behind him and a passenger asked him where he was from. He will reply, "Skyline Piru." The passenger would throw up Lincoln Park and Foster would challenge him to a fight, but the car would drive off. Foster would tell his friends to watch out for the car. Later that night, he'll be hanging out with several friends in the front yard when one of his friends yelled out, "White expedition," Everyone would run and the passenger in the expedition would begin shooting. Many would testify the shooter would throw up Lincoln Park before he shot, and many said it was up to 3 shooters. Charles Foster would be shot in his leg, and a hat would be found at the scene, which would later be tracked back to being one of the shooters. The next day, August 14, 2004, 5 members of Ofarrell Park Bloods would go to a club 3 cars deep. They would see 2 males in a parking lot in a white expedition. The 3-car crew at the Ofarrell Park Bloods would leave the club to find something else to do. Driving on the freeway, they would be followed by the expedition. Michael Cannon, being the last car of the 3-car deep crew, will be shot 2 times in the arm. The second car in the group had Richard Wilson and Christopher Scott in the car. Scott would hear a gunshot and duck. After the shooting ended, he looked up to see Richard Wilson in the passenger seat slumped over. Wilson would lose his life. On the same day, August 14, 2004, Alfred Lacey and his friend Lee Smith were sitting at the bus stop on Skyline Drive, which is Skyline Piru turf. Lacey would see the expedition and it caught his attention. He said because there was a lot of talk in the neighborhood about the white expedition and how everyone needed to be careful. The car would drive by mugging, then minutes later, it would come back, and Lacey said he seen a man aiming something at him. He would dive to the ground, and his friend Lee Smith would yell he was hit. Lee Smith would later on lose his life. Edward Thomas and his half-brother, Dejon Satterfield, would be later arrested for the crime. Satterfield would be the driver and the one who lost his hat, and Edward Thomas being the shooter. Edward Thomas said they went on a crime spree they did because they ran a retaliation for a fight they had with rivals at a party, where Skyline Piru disrespected them and their allies, Lincoln Park. Edward Thomas would receive 2 life terms, plus 96 years to life, plus an additional 40 years. His brother Dejon Satterwhite would receive 196 years to life. The next case will be about the rivals of the Lincoln Park Bloods and the 59brims. And I will talk about Charles Neal, a member of Ofarrell Park Bankster Bloods, and Maurice Tucker, a member of the Skyline Pirus. These 2 gangs are allies. Both gangs date back to over 3 decades and take up most of the same rivals. Like I said before, they beef with the 59brims, the Lincoln Park Bloods, and also the Emerald Hill Bloods. They're also rivals of both Crip gangs like the Rolling 40 Crips and the West Coast Crips. In Cleveland, a Lincoln Park member will lose his life in this case. June 2007. Charles Neal and his girlfriend took a trip with Maurice Tucker and his girlfriend. Neal made his girlfriend buy prepaid phones for him and Tucker. She put fake names and addresses and out-of-state numbers for the line. June 9, 2007. Gang members of both Ofarrell Park Banksters and the Skyline Pirus would gather at a park, including Maurice Tucker and Joseph Brown. A Cadillac would drive by with 4 men. The 4 men wore green and white, colors known to be worn by the Lincoln Park Bloods. 10 minutes later, the 4 men in green will come back on their feet, running toward the park, throwing up gang signs. They would be ran off by members of the Skyline Pirus and the Ofarrell Park Banksters. Joseph Brown, cousin, another member of the Ofarrell Park Banksters, will pull up and switch cars with Neal. Tuck will be the driver in the car, and Neal the passenger. Victim Cleveland was at home. He walked his girlfriend to her car at 8 p.m. A dark green Suburban would pass by and stop. Cleveland would ask the 2 people in the car, "What's up?" The man in the car responded, "What's up?" in a threatening tone. Cleveland's girlfriend said he would look nervous, and then the passenger would quickly exit and run at Cleveland. Cleveland would tell his girlfriend to duck, and he would run towards his house, and the passenger would begin shooting at Cleveland. The passenger will run back to the car, and they will drive off. Cleveland will be found mortally wounded in a neighbor's open garage. Police will find Neal's cell phone at the scene with his DNA on it. The police will later seize Tucker's cell phone and see contact between both cell phones. Cleveland's girlfriend will testify at court and identify Neal as the shooter. Joseph Brown will also snitch at trial. By this time of this case, he was already locked up for robbery and faced 27 years to life. But he will tell on both Tucker and Neal and receive 5 to 15 years. He would say he was scared of prison and would do anything for a shorter time. And that's exactly what he did. Charles Neal would get 40 years to life. And Maurice Tucker, he would get life as well. The last case I'm going to get into involves two allies, the San Diego Rolling 40 Crips and the West Coast Crips. It is said to believe that a Rolling 40 member from LA moved to San Diego in the 70s, and he helped establish the set there. You may know of the San Diego 40s for being affiliated with platinum-selling rapper J.O. Felony. They beef with a lot of blood sets in San Diego, basically everyone I named and more. The same with their allies, the West Coast Crips. It said the West Coast Crips started when an East Coast Crip member from Los Angeles came there and started a chapter in San Diego. It is said they're the oldest Crip gang in San Diego, with that area being around since the 1970s. The West Coast Crips and the Rolling 40 Crips will be on a hunt for revenge after a West Coast Crip member will be shot by a Lincoln Park Blood. October 12, 2007, West Coast Crip member Leroy Henderson will lose his life. 10 days later, October 22nd, after a wait for Leroy Henderson, Ricky Wyatt and Phil Winston, members of Lincoln Park, would get shot that night. Many kids and adults would be at a playground in an apartment complex. Many witnesses said they saw three men approach, two with hoodies and one with a white t-shirt. The man in the white tee would ask Wyatt and Winston where were they from. Before they could respond, the two men began shooting. Wyatt would be fatally shot, being shot in the head, the neck, and the spine. Winston would survive with only a shot to the arm. The police would later find three men walking in Lincoln Park territory. When they seen the police, all three men would run. The police will only catch two of the men and find handguns tossed in the alley, along with hoodies and bullets. The man in the white t-shirt, Jamal Davis, will be the one who got away, but he will be arrested the next day at Henderson's funeral. He will tell the police he was there at the shooting, and he was a member of the West Coast Crips. He admitted to walking to the playground with the West Coast Crips and the 40 member. He would say on October 11th that him and two other Crips would beat up Lincoln Park member Antonio Davis, so he would kill Leroy Henderson from West Coast Crips for revenge. Jamal Davis and a group of other Crips would be pressured by older members to avenge Leroy Henderson, so that's what they were doing that night, he said. Jamal Davis would receive 25 years to life, and the two other men in the case were Ware and Jamel, and they received 16 and 21 years. This will conclude this segment. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.